I want to teach you a little bit about the basics of functions. What are they? How do they work? How do you use them? I'm going to ask you to go into CMU, log in, and you're going to go into the sandbox because that's where we're going to play around a little bit. Before I have you go and, well, maybe you've already done the lesson on functions, maybe you're about to, but before you go too far into Unit 2, which is all about functions, I want to give you lots and lots of examples to follow and instruction. So let's try. So in Sandbox, we're going to go, you should be starting off with an untitled program, and let's go ahead and put in a hashtag, and we're going to call this functions1, perhaps. This will be our first video of many, and then I'm going to click on the 3 bars over here and say save as, and let's save this guy as functions1. So whatever we do, you'll have, and you can go back and look at it later on your own by going and clicking on these 3 bars and then saying open. Okay, so anyways, functions. Let's take a look. First, we're going to build a function, but it won't be that useful. They're very useful, but we're going to start off I'm going to try to get you familiar with what the idea is. Before we do anything, we have to define a function, and we do that by starting off with def and then space. And then we got to give it a name, and in this case, I'm going to say draw circle. And I like doing examples with circles because they're so simple to create with code. You need very little code in order to get a circle going. So I like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that we're going to try changing several different aspects of the circle using a function. So the first thing we'll try is let's try changing the color. And so we put into the function definition the name of the function, that's draw circle, and we put in this guy right here, color, that is known as a parameter. And it's kind of like a variable. It's going to get a value, and then we can use that variable and its value to do things like change the color of the circle. So let's draw a circle with the circle command. And then we'll give it a starting coordinate of 200, 200. That is the middle of the screen, since you're just getting to know these parameters. Since you're just getting to know the concept and the design environment and the canvas, let's go ahead and click on this toggle grid view over here so that you can see, oh yeah, that's the middle, 200, 200. And then let's go ahead and use the color to change the fill of the circle. So fill equals color. Now you'll notice that we're not putting any parentheses around the color. In Unit 1, we always put quotes. I'm sorry. We aren't putting any quotes around color. In Unit 1, we always put quotes around the color, and I'll show you how it works. I'll show you why we're doing this here in just a second. So this is now a function that should draw a circle at 200, 200, and the fill will be whatever the color is that's passed to it. Now, the next thing that we need is a call. We need to call the function. We've defined it, but now we need to call it. And we're going to give it the name DRAW, circle. And then now we need to provide a color in quotes. So I'm going to try giving it the color red. And if you followed along with me, you should be able to run the code and see what happens. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a try and just make sure that I didn't make any mistakes along the way. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and come down here and click on this little gray bar. And I'm just going to bring it up just in case there is any error messages. They usually show up here. So I don't want that guy hidden all the way at the bottom. Okay, let's go ahead and hit run. And, oh, sure enough, there's an error message. What did I do wrong? It takes 3 arguments. Oh, I forgot to put in the radius for the circle. So hopefully you knew that, and you were probably screaming at the monitor, hey, Weingarten, fix the radius. So let's make it a pretty big circle. Let's give it a radius of 50, and then another comma. And now we should be able to hit run. And sure enough, we get a red circle with a radius of 50, and it's red. Great. Now, let's try some experiments to get a feeling for what's really happening here. But before we do, I'll just tell you, basically what's happening is we define this function, and we made it so that we can pass in a color, and then we can use the word color as a variable, and we can provide whatever color we want in the function call, which is down here. I just highlighted it. Okay, so I guess that means that if I change this color here, the circle should change color when I run the code. So let's give it a try. Sure enough, now I got a blue circle. So now the question comes up, well, why didn't we need to put quotes around color up here? How come we only need to do it here? Well, let's see what happens if we try this. What if I do put quotes around over here? Okay, I guess I should do the same thing over here. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And what it says is it does not like me putting, in the function definition, it doesn't like me putting in this word with quotes. Now again, maybe it's because I use the word color and not a color. So let's try using red and see what happens. And I'll fix it up over here also. And go ahead and hit run. And as you can see, I got another error message. It does not like me giving this in quotes. It really just wants me to have a variable here, which we're going to call color. And then it will pass whatever color is provided as an argument here in the function call. This is the function call. This is an argument to the function call. And this is a parameter that is in the function definition. And what happens is when we call the function and we give it an argument of blue, the parameter color is set to blue, and then we can use the parameter over here. Now, again, you might be wondering, well, why don't I put at least for the fill, why don't I use quotes here? And again, the problem is that then it thinks I'm trying to pass a color called color into fill, and that's not what I want. If I go ahead and hit run, I get an error message, and it says circle.fill should be a color, and color is not a legal color. Well, thank you, CMU. That is a very descriptive error message. Make sure that you read the error messages when they occur in your code. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this. Now, something you might be wondering is, does it matter whether I use the word color here to set the color of the circle? Let's give it a try. So what if we use something else? What if we use something like Fred, the name Fred, with no quotes around it, and we'll try using that instead of the word color. Will CMU know what to do? I'm kind of curious, and you should be too. Let's give it a try. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And sure enough, it looks like the color blue got passed into the word Fred, and then Fred was then used here to set the fill, which happened to be blue. And again, we can change this around and just double check and make sure this works. And I have to tell you this. If all you're doing right now is watching me play around in the video and you're not trying this stuff yourself, then I got to be honest with you, you're wasting your time. Watching me, you will not learn anything from watching me, nor will you learn anything from watching anybody in general. In general, you learn more when you are actually doing something. So you can watch people to get the idea of what needs to be done. But you need to try things. You need to go in there, and not only should you try what I'm recommending, you should let your curiosity run wild, and you should be trying stuff that I'm not telling you to try, just to see what happens. And if you aren't sure why you're getting a particular result, call me over and ask me about it. And if I'm busy right now, take a moment, get out paper and pencil, and write down a note of what it is you're trying to figure out, so that when you can get my attention, I can explain to you what's going on. Okay, so anyways, back to this. What if it wasn't even a word that was here? What if I just had something like Geburtstag? Okay, let's give it a try. Does CMU require that my parameter name be an actual word? GBRFHK. Let's go ahead and try. And by the way, this time I'm going to make you work for it, okay? I would like you to pause the video and copy this code and make sure you have everything like I do, and then I want you to hit run before I do so that you can see what happens. I'm going to wait for just a second. Okay, I'm hoping that you paused the video, you wrote the code, you tried it yourself. And now I'm going to do it just to double check and make sure. I'm kind of curious. You might have run into an error. Maybe there was an error in what I wrote. Maybe when you typed the code, you made a mistake. Let's go ahead and see whether my code works or not. I hit run now. So we got a green circle. And again, it didn't matter that this guy was GBRFHK or Fred or the word color. It just turns out the word color makes the most sense. Now, something else that's kind of interesting. I wonder what else we could put in there. Like for instance, you'll notice that deaf is a sort of reserved word. So I wonder if we could actually put deaf in as the parameter name. Will this work? Let's go ahead and give it a try. I got to be honest with you, I don't think it will. I think what's going to come up and say is that deaf is a reserved keyword, so you cannot use it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And sure enough, it does not like me using deaf. Also, another thing that we'll learn how to use later is a print. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to go back and make this color. And then hit run. And so everything's working. I got my green circle. There's this thing we can do anytime we want. We can always print something out. In this case, let's go ahead and print the color. And that'll appear down here whether or not we do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this for this print command to run. Let's go ahead and hit run. And now we got the word green here, and we got a green circle there. And if I go and I change this to red, I will get a red circle, and I'll get the word red down here because I'm printing the color. So print is a reserved word, and you can see that it's color-coded that way. It's got a different color than everything else. Same with def. So let's go and try and use print as a parameter or a variable here. See if it works. And let's give it a try. Run. Sure enough, it does. For some reason, it just does not like that. In line, it looks like it has a problem either in line 7 or line 5. Probably line. Interesting. String object is not callable. I think what happened here is. Let's try this. It was having a problem with color. Let's try print. Hit run, and let me pause for a second to think about this one. Well, I have to admit that this error message is not as clear as the other error message that we saw. So if you ever run into something like this, call me on over and maybe I can help. In the meantime, I am pretty confident that one of the problems is that CMU and Python in general, Python programming language, does not like us using reserved words as parameters or variables. So we're going to go back to color, and so that this will work. And I like leaving the print statement there so that you can get a feel for that also. And we're going to try a couple other things while I have your attention. Let's go ahead and hit run. Everything looks like it's working. Make sure that you're caught up to me and that your code looks like mine. Now, remember what I said a minute ago is that nothing's going to happen if I don't have a function call. Let's test that theory. So this guy is the function definition, and this guy is the function call. So let's go ahead and put a hashtag in front of the function call. So that means that that code will not run. And when we do that, let's go ahead and try hitting run. And when we do, we get nothing. We get no circle, and we get no text down here. We don't get an error message. The thing is, we just did not call the function, and so these lines of code did not run. That's it. In order to make those lines of code run, we must call the function. Now, something else that is kind of interesting, a lot of times people who are new to functions, they don't get this indentation thing here. See how there is space between the left side of the the editor and the beginning of the word circle? See how I'm going back and forth between the two? That space is necessary if I want the circle command to be part of the function, and the same with the print command. If I all of a sudden remove that space, then that command will no longer be part of the function. So check this out. If I go and put a hashtag in front of draw circle, so I'm not calling the function, but and we'll even remove that line that was putting a space between circle and print, and let's go ahead and try hitting run now. So now now what's happening is this command is running because it's not part of the function. It needs to be indented to be part of the function. Let's go ahead and see what happens if I indent. If I indent and hit run, nothing happens. If I unindent, it tries to run the print command, but the color has never been defined because we did not run the function. We did not call the function. Let's test this out so that it's more obvious to you what's happening. Let's go ahead and say print hello, and notice how I do put quotes around the hello, and then go ahead and hit run. And what you'll notice happening is that again, the print command does run, but there's no circle that's drawn. And the reason there's no circle that's drawn is because we never called the function. We defined the function, but we never called the function. And our print command ran because it's not indented. So if we indent print and hit run, then nothing will happen at all. All right, you've been very patient. My video is going on and on now. So I want to get to a close. Maybe I'll show you one last little thing. Let's go ahead and try running this function. And again, we're going to print the color. And we'll go ahead and say run. Maybe we'll just make it a different color just for fun. Let's make it green. And again, green circle here, the word green down here. I want to show you one other thing. Let's say that you were getting all excited about indenting your code, like you did in line 4 here and line 5 here. And let's say that you do the function call indented also. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And when I do, nothing happens at all. No circle is drawn and nothing is printed down here. Why is that? Doesn't make sense, right? Looks like we have a perfectly good function call. The only problem is that function call is not running. It's what we did by indenting it is we made it part of the function definition, and there is no function call, so that will not run. So in order to make the function call work, it has to be unindented, so it is not part of the function, and then it can go ahead and call the function definition, and all those lines of code will then be run. Now, I want to show you some other videos to point out some things about how functions work, but I'm going to say let's stop for this one for now. If you have any questions at all, it would be great if you called me over and asked. And if I'm busy, I would love it if you wrote down the question either on your computer or with pencil and paper, and then call me on over and let's get the questions answered while we're so early in the course.